Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is enjoying this beautiful, gorgeous day, which is still gorgeous. We're still hanging for the hot summer in there, and I wish you all a blessed Sunday. Today, our message is from the book Happy Life from Divaldo Pereira Franco and Joanna Diogenes. You may not know it, but you are an example for someone. There are always people observing your actions, even the mistaken ones, and aligning themselves with them. You are thus responsible not only for what you do, but also for what your ideas and attitudes inspire in other individuals. Dictators and arbitrary people by themselves would never accomplish anything were it not for those who think like them, they do, and support them. By the same token, good workers would disappear were it not for the people who identify with them through sacrifice and love. Be careful what you do say, and do encourage followers to elevate themselves and to act correctly. So let's close our eyes and in company of God, our Creator, Jesus, our Master of Love, our guiding light, and all spirits present here today, the incarnate and discarnate ones. We thank them for being here today, for spreading His words and His love and His compassion towards us and humanity. We ask the spiritual workers and Jesus to bless Rafael, give him harmony and peace, to give us the best he can on this lecture. So be it. Thank you, Rafael.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's nice to hear an answer. Yeah, as you guys can see, we are broadcasting from TSS. And we are not open yet, but we're going to start, every now and then we're going to have a lecture that is going to be broadcasted straight from TSS. And as I'm standing here today, this morning, I remember last time I was here, which was in the beginning of 2020, and we had no idea what was coming in our direction. And so much has changed in such a short time, as it should be. So we know that this change is necessary for our world. This virus that came very slowly and took over and changed the world as none as. It was the first time that happened in the history of our civilization. Something that involved the world so as fast as it did. And the world didn't end, and it won't end, but it must change. And it's changing faster than we thought it could change. And in the middle of this change, in the middle of this transition, we still keep our hope. We still know that this is something that is supposed to happen. And how do we know this? Why do we feel hopeful, even when we see the changes coming from climate change, the catastrophes, and what this disease has done to our civilization? How do we keep this hope? We know that that there is a supreme being, an intelligent being that is taking care of us, is taking care of all this. This is not something that happens without any reason. There's a reason for this, and the reason is one of love. But how do we know this? We've always known. This is what we call faith. And that's the topic that I want to talk about in this lecture today. So I'm going to start in the very beginning, how this faith started, how we start understanding and developing the concept of faith. So there's a book that is been going around. It's a famous book, and it's called Sapiens from Yuval Harari. And in this book, there's a compilation of very deep research on archaeology and anthropology. I'm not selling this book. I'm just commenting what I've learned from this book.
It's an excellent book.
Yeah. So in this book, we saw that from around 2 million years ago to 10,000 years ago, some authors, they say 23,000 years ago. So from this span, 2 million years ago to around 10,000 million years ago, 10,000 years ago, in our world, we had several species of human beings. So we had Homo habilis, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens. We were just one of those species. But when we reached the mark of around 7,000 years ago, something changed completely. Up to that point, the difference between the most advanced ape and a human was not that great. We both species were using tools. Both species lived in families. But from 70,000 years ago to now, something completely different happened. So we had what scholars call cognitive evolution. So our tools got much more complicated, much more complex. We had commerce, we had our families to start growing to hundreds of individuals. We had bowls, oil lamps, needles, communication, and something completely new. We had religion. So religion started since that time. And because of that, Homo sapiens start separating from the rest and start taking over. And so that today we are the only species left. So of course there's several theories and hypotheses that we actually mingle to the other species, but that's not important for us now. So when we ask ourselves, what changed? What made this incredible change in the way we behave, in the way we interact with nature? Nobody really knows. We can only see this in the archaeological excavations. But from Spiritism, Emmanuel, in the book On the Way to the Light, he gives us an explanation. He fills the gaps. He says that spirit entities aided these Stone Age humans by imprinting them with new biological characteristics. So something changed in us. It's not something from natural selection. It was spiritual intervention. So we were designed to change. And André Luiz, in the book Evolution to Worlds, it complements that. He reiterates that we received help from the friendly instructors, and instead of just killing for survival, we started to question. So that was the first time that we started being self-aware. So instead of just going after our dinner, our lunch, or the survival mode day after day, I imagine us as primitive beings just stopping and looking around and start questioning, why am I doing this day in, day out? And André Luiz tells us that a very strange metamorphosis happened. We became separated from divine intervention. So this means the instinct. We were separated from instinct, and it's like God telling us, okay, now you walk with your own legs. You start walking with your own legs. And for the first time, this André Luiz words, we felt lonely. We felt lonely because we start seeing how big everything is, and there came this crushing feeling that we are so small. So this is huge. This is all huge. It's the first time as a species on this planet starts questioning and thinking, observing nature, dreaming in the darkness of night. We start seeking for this meaning. And for the first time, we saw our families. Seeing in the spiritual sense, we start connecting to family members and understanding these are my offsprings. I love them. This is my companion, my husband, my wife. I love them. And we start seeing, comes this feeling of love from empathy and compassion. And we start understanding that it's not just about survival, but their survival. So the concept of sacrificing oneself for the ones we love, it came about. Oh, this is new, and this is us becoming spirits and connecting with the spiritual world. And in this dark, so Andrea Luiz keeps saying dark night because we don't have dark nights anymore. So the lights of the cities, they bounce back the atmosphere. So the night sky is always lit. So there's always light in the night sky. We don't have dark nights as we used to have when we were at that time. So at that dark time is when this meditation happened. We start thinking about all this. And from inside of us, from inside our core, it came the certainty that there is a creator, there is a being, there is a God. We didn't have words for that at that time. Today we use the word God. But that was an incredible thing. It's for the first time we understand that we have a creator. And then we start understanding that this creator, it has laws. So if we want to leave, to disconnect from the suffering of life, if we want to feel better, we need to follow those laws. But it's not that easy to understand what that law is. With what we knew is there is a creator. And this is the beginning of our faith. From that point on, we were no longer alone. So this is very important, and it came from the inside of the human being. We connect to God in our hearts. And then we come, and this faith and this trying or striving to work according to what we understand are these beings' laws, or the laws of nature, it brings us peace. And this peace gives us confidence to move on, to overcome the obstacles of life. And this is what we call faith. It's this part we can explain much more than what I'm trying to do now. So it comes from the inside. It's this certainty. It's something that is within us. This is the beginning and the root of faith, and it's very hard to put into words. But we feel it, we know it, but we can't put into words. But it's important to try to understand the mechanism, because if we understand, we can make it stronger with our intellect. So we can start by trying to understand, why do we believe in Spiritism? Why is it that I tell you guys that around this world there are several spiritual cities that are orbiting this planet, and it makes complete sense. And in these cities, we have electric transportation devices that transport the spirits from here to there, and there are several layers of this existence. And for us, it makes complete sense. But at least what happened to me, when I read the first book when I was a teenager, it made complete sense. But what does it mean, making complete sense? Why is it that I read that, and I believe it, I know that is true, and the next person that reads the same book doesn't have this feeling? So this is something that when we read chapter 19 from the Gospel according to Spiritism, Faith That Moves Mountains, it's written there, for some individuals, faith seems to be innate. A spark is enough to develop it. Upon being reborn, they bring with them the intuition of what they know. They have accomplished their education. So intuition, so what happens with this trigger, it shows us something that we already knew. So the intuition of today is the knowledge of the past that is coming to our subconscious. So when we read it, It's something that we have already learned. We remember because we were there. We were, all of us, we have been reincarnating over and over and over again. Eventually, one day, that knowledge is going to stick. And then when we see or when we read something, we'll know that that is true. So it comes from intuition. But there's a pitfall. We may think of ourselves as, okay, I completed my education, so maybe I'm a better person because I believe in that. So this is always the pitfall, pride and selfishness. It doesn't mean that because we believe on this or that, we are better than our brothers and sisters. The only thing that it means is that we finally learned something. It's something that is good for us, and we should be happy that finally we learned that, and that faith gives us strength. But in no way it tells us that we are better. As Hamed says in the Changing Attitudes book, there are points of ignorance, and we all have them. We may have learned this far, but there's so many other things that we still have to learn. So even though we must be grateful for having this knowledge today that gives us this strength, we need to respect all our brothers and sisters, because maybe they don't need that yet. Maybe they are good people and they don't have to believe in spirits for that. And this is something that has been with us since the beginning of Spiritism. And unfortunately, sometimes we forget. Sometimes in our happiness, in our joy, we forget to respect our brothers and sisters' opinions, and we try to force it. And if you guys allow me, I'm going to read just a small passage from Kardec, from the book What is Spiritism, where Kardec is talking about this. So he was there in a Parisian society, and the doors were always open. Whoever wanted to go there and talk about Spiritism, the door was open, and he was there to talk to everybody. He never hid himself. He put himself towards the public to answer any question, because Spiritism, the truth, it remains being the truth, no matter what the brightness of the light that you shine on it. So he felt very confident, and he had this dialogue with everyone who wanted to go there and ask what Spiritism is. So then the visitor, the guy who came to talk to him, asked him, "So you do not try to win converts?" And Kardec answers, "Why would I want to win you over as a convert if you do not want to become one? I can't make anyone believe. When I meet individuals who sincerely desire to learn and who give me the honor of asking for explanations, it is my pleasure and duty to respond to them within the limits of my knowledge. However, as for opponents who, like yourself," he was very direct, "are set in their ways, I do not make any effort to dissuade them, because I can find plenty of persons who are willing to be convinced. I don't have to waste my time on those who are not." So what he's saying, he was not a bad person or rude, but he didn't have time to lose. We know that he had only 10 years to write all the books and compile the Spiritism. So he knew that he had no time to lose. So he say, why would I convince other people? So if you don't need it, you don't need it. There's plenty of people who come to me and they're open. And this is the same thing when we see André Luiz books, when there's all those people suffering in umbral, and the workers, they're all around. They're invisible to them, but the spirits are suffering, and the workers of the light, they're all there, just waiting. When they are ready, when they start praying, when they get tired of suffering, and they ask for help, is when the workers go, okay, now I'm going to take you. So we need to do the same thing. We need to learn to do the same thing. If among us, we have the duty to talk about it. We have the duty to talk about Spiritism. We are here now, we have this camera, so whoever is connected wants to hear about Spiritism. And whoever is sitting here wants to hear about Spiritism. So it's our duty to spread and to talk about it. But for those who do not want to hear about it, we don't have to force it. We take this weight out of our shoulders. It's not ours. We sow the seeds, but the harvest is from God. God is the one who's going to harvest. We just do our part. We don't have the responsibility to change the world. We have the responsibility to change ourselves. And coming back to faith, when we talk about faith in Spiritism, we separate between blind faith and rational faith. And we talk about this all the time, and that's why we have study groups in Spiritism, and we are always reading and studying. But since faith comes from intuition, what is the difference between blind faith and rational faith, if both of them come from intuition? Well, it's easy to separate them. The rational faith is the faith where we strengthen our intuition. We use our intellect to strengthen our faith. We look everywhere. It's not just a study. It's not just science. Sometimes we confuse Spiritism with science. It's not. We know that Kardec separating science, philosophy, and religion. It's one thing. It's just that because he wanted to stress that it cannot be just one of them. It's all of them combined. So it's not just a study of what is the physics of the mechanism of the past. We can't know that. That's not physics. That there's just some analogies that the spirits, they tell us, oh, you can understand this because of this and that law. So then you can make a connection, then you can understand it. But it's not that law. It's not physics. Otherwise, we would have instruments here and we'll be able to measure everything and reproduce. We can't. It's their science, not ours. So it is not just look at the technical aspect, but look at life. Look at how the Spiritism concept make me be a better husband, a better person in society. If someone offends me, how do I behave to that? And then I try different things, and I see that this, if I respond in the same way, it might feel good in the first few minutes, but afterwards I feel so bad that I was not strong enough, and I went to the same level. And if I don't respond, if I remain quiet, if I deliver my silence, sometimes it may feel bad in the beginning because our pride gets hurt. But then in the end, I understand that I did the right thing, and that makes me feel better, if that makes sense. So we can only develop this because we develop our faith using our intellect. So the rational faith, it takes into account everything that is going around. It takes into account everything that is happening around us. And this study is what keeps feeding our faith. That's the necessity for us to come and do our studies and to develop ourselves. In the Gospel, there is an explanation that is very clear how the spirits see a rational faith. So it says, rational faith, that which is based on facts and logic, leaves no darkness in its wake. One believes because one is sure, and no one can be sure unless they have understood. That is why rational faith does not collapse. For unshakable faith is the kind that can stand face to face with reason in all epochs. So that's what it means. Is we believe in a creator. We try to understand the laws of God. And the thing is, when I'm trying to explain to myself how this would work, when we try to connect to God and we try to meditate, we make silence. But the thing is, voice of God or the voice of our conscience is not the only voice in our heads. They are the voices of our companions. I'm not going to say obsessors. I don't know who is obsessing who. It could be an obsessive relationship, but we have a lot of voices. None of them are good. So our job with our intellect is try to strip away from inside of us everything that is it's not good, and try to find our connection to our conscience. Try to listen to God, and try to feel the influence of our mentors, spiritual mentors, to feel what is the best way to follow. So this is why faith, it demands study. We need to, if we don't study anything else, at least we need to study ourselves and see what's inside of us, what's happening inside of us. And blind faith, it's the opposite. It's the faith that is not questioned. It's the faith that is frozen in time. We believe that God exists, and then we advanced our faith to some point, and then we froze by pride. Because we are proud of what we feel, we believe that we're not going to advance anymore. So this happens. One example, we believe that the Earth, our planet, was the center of the universe, and that was completely connected to our faith at that time. But then along comes a scientist, well, it wasn't called scientist at that time, and then it says, no, that here is the proof, the Earth is actually going around the sun. And then it afflicts our faith, because it was a blind faith. It's not a faith that can look at that new knowledge, absorb that new knowledge, and learn from it, and advance our faith. Make us feel stronger. So this type of faith, since this is not logical, and is very weak because it's not logical, it can only be defended with rage and violence, because those are the tools of the desperate spirit. The desperate spirit, it's not at peace. It has to destroy the source that weakens their faith, which is basically almost everything when you have blind faith. Rational faith, it brings strength and peace. So we don't need to defend ourselves. We don't need to defend. We know it's true. So that makes us a peaceful people. And if we try to summarize all this, what I'm trying to convey, if I could summarize in one goal, one objective of developing our faith, I would say trust in God is to trust that there is this intelligent being that loves us and takes care of each one of us. So we see, again, going back to the pandemic or the climate change, and we might look at the future and see what's going to happen next year, what's going to happen the year after that. But if we remember our faith is strengthened by what we learn, and we remember that God loves us, we see that we will be okay. We'll be okay. So we are going to figure out, because it doesn't matter what happens to us. It is designed to be overcome. Whatever disease, whatever catastrophe, whatever comes our way, is by design to be overcome. It's never stronger than we are. It's always weaker, always weaker. So this brings us this perspective of life, that it will never allow us to be desperate. We'll feel pain, we will suffer, because there's a meaning for that. So the suffering and the pain is the mechanism to show us where is it that we need to work. So it makes us develop, but is not going to allow us to be desperate. That is what this faith prevents, this desperation. We understand that we're going to get to the other side. We're going to overcome. It doesn't matter what happens, we will overcome. And as a civilization, we will overcome this pandemic. We will overcome climate change one way or another. We will overcome, and we are going to transition to a better civilization. In the near future, in the long future, this is up to God, but we will get there. Everything will be okay, and everything will be better for us as a civilization and for us as individuals. Everything will be better in all our lives, no matter what's going to happen. So that's what I wanted to present today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh,
Você vai fazer
yeah,
agora? Esse final? Fica fácil?
All right. So we'll do our final prayer. So let's now close our eyes, elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus and all the beloved spirits that were present here today with us. Let's thank them for the opportunity of being here together, for the start of a somewhat normal life again. Let's thank them for the help, for the guidance, and ask to have everything that we learned today in our hearts and in our minds, so we may start practicing our faith in the days to come. Thank you so much. Thank you for those who joined us, and hope to see you next week.